So speaking of scenarios and hypotheticals, shall we get into that now?
We can do that.
Okay, so yeah, so Helen and I were very busy this weekend preparing a few hypotheticals and scenarios. And our fictitious couple, their names are Sandy and Robin. And they were married September 30th, 2010, and they were separated April 1st, 2021. Sandy is kind of like your traditional breadwinner spouse, and Robin is the dependent spouse. And this is going to be a very simple fact situation. No kids, no pensions, no businesses. And so we're going to give you guys basically like 3 scenarios to show you how the net family property actually varies depending on the matrimonial home situation. So the first scenario is the home is rented. And then the second scenario is Sandy bought the home before the marriage. And then the final scenario is where Sandy bought the home after the marriage. So again, well, because we have Sandy and Robin, and I'm not the family law expert here, I volunteered to do Robin. So let's go through that. So I pulled up Robin's Form 13.1. So Form 13.1, you can, of course, download for free from the Ontario Court site, and it's called Financial Statement. Okay, so here, of course, you just fill in this is very easy.
And actually, Heather, just to interrupt for a second,
go ahead.
It is the 13.1, because when you look under Form 13, there are actually 2 different ones. The 13.1 is the one you need to use if you have property issues. Just if you don't own any property, if you're only doing a support claim, you only need to do a Form 13.
Okay, so this is Robin's form, and so Robin's situation should be fairly straightforward because they only have a ring and they have a bank account, and that's it.
Okay. Just why don't you scroll through the financial statement? I think would be the best way.
Yeah, so let's just quickly go to the financial part.
Okay, and that's what Heather is skipping over now, is because we're not talking about support. So income and expenses don't matter. And that's the first part of the Form 13.1. So we're scrolling all over that, and we're moving to the part that specifically starts when you're talking about property. And
and so here it is. So the first item of entry for me, Robin, would be the ring, which we put in here. So the ring was purchased after, or during marriage. So of course, on the date of marriage we just put 0, right? And then on date of separation, I put 5,000 here. But Helena, so a very quick question here before I move on. So the ring, it's not the purchase price, is it? Like you have to get an appraisal.
If the parties, if Robin claims that this ruby ring is worth $5,000,
yeah,
then if either Sandy can agree that the ring is worth 5,000, or Sandy can, he or she, insist on an appraisal for what that ring is actually worth.
Okay, we'll just pretend that we agree for now. All right.
Yep. Yeah, let's say that all these are based on appraisals. So we actually went out and everybody spent the money and we got all these things. So we know these are the real values. Nobody's lied. Nobody's tried to exaggerate or reduce what the actual value is. We've got appraisals and all this stuff.
I think the fairest thing, is if they got to appraisal, and let's just say that it's the same today. Well, when today meaning when the form was filled out, that's what today is, right?
Yes, because we've got a separation date of April 1, 2021.
Yeah.
So these people are coming on being separated for over a year. It's not unusual to say that you've got a piece of jewelry that would be worth the same now as it was on the date of separation. It hasn't increased in value since the separation.
Right, because you are talking about likely a year, at least a year or so. That number could change.
Yeah.
Right.
But then actually, when you're doing the calculation, today's figure doesn't really impact the calculations we're going to be talking about. It's just a way of showing on your financial statement what's happened with that property since you separated. Do you still have it? Did you sell it? Have you gotten something else? Whatever. So like the today column is basically for nosiness sake, not it's not.
Oh yeah, I was wondering that. Why do you have to put that in? Okay. So then the other thing that Robin has are their checking accounts and saving accounts. So I just kind of we just made up these numbers, but yeah, that should be pretty straightforward to get these numbers because everybody has their bank statements and so on, or online banking, and you can just I guess, get these numbers, right?
And you can actually tell a real story with these too, because we're saying here, these are the bank accounts that Robin has. So
Yeah.
just by looking at that section right there,
Yeah.
is that when Robin married Sandy,
Mhm.
Robin did not have a checking account, or
Right.
if they did, it was either overdrawn or the balance was zero.
Right.
And now when they're separating, Robin has a checking account with there was $3,000 in a checking account.
Right.
And we're showing today's value, it's 2,000. So obviously Robin's losing money after the separation. She's not living with the breadwinner anymore. She's going into her checking account, or it could just be fluctuating up and down. You can
Right.
see no money in a checking account when they got married, had 3,000 in the bank in the checking account when they separated, and has spent $1,000 out of that since, or it's gone up and down, and that's what the value is today. And in the
Exactly.
savings account,
Yeah.
Robin had 20,000 in a savings account.
Yeah.
Well, spent some of that money during the course of the marriage, because on the valuation date, it's only worth 15,000. But she's hung on to that. So she still has, Robin, he or she still has 15,000 in the savings account. So yeah, you can actually like kind of get the whole financial story from just that information that's there.
Yeah. And then of course, line 17, basically just like add up these numbers and then you get these, the date of marriage value and the valuation date value and today's value. So this is pretty straightforward, right? This part.
Yeah.
I would say. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, again, remember we said our situation is very simple, so we're skipping a lot of these sections. And here, okay, so let's talk about line 22. So this is telling me add items 15 to 21. So all you have to do is just go back to the top to look at what your values are at 15 and 21, and you add them up, and then this is how we come up with these numbers here.
Yeah, and actually, again, just as a heads up for the audience that's out there,
Yep.
this is just an example where we've kept the facts pretty simple.
Yeah.
But when you walk through the Form 13-1, if you do have any property or debts that get captured in the different categories that they've got, you've got to include them. So you go through this, and the financial statement can be very, very helpful in helping you to figure out exactly, because there are things you might have that you've even forgotten that you've got. But it tells you how to include them either as an asset or a debt. But you do go through every column one by one saying, well, nope, that doesn't apply to me, that doesn't apply to me, but whatever does, you have to complete.
Yeah, so this is actually, in a way, these forms are great because it's like a guide to remind you. Well, it's kind of like filling out your tax return. Okay, so we're moving on. And then, of course, as Helena, as you mentioned, that we have to include our debts as well. So part 5 is devoted to debts and liabilities. Robin has a few credit card debts, both at, on date of marriage and on valuation date. And then today she's got $1,000. So these numbers just get translated down to line 23.
Yeah.
To the totals. And then we move on. And then part 6.
Now we're talking about what the parties had on the date of marriage. So again, this is part 2. We figured out what all their property and debts were on the date of separation. Now we're looking and seeing what Robin has in the way of property or debts on the date of marriage. And there we go. They're showing the $20,000 in the bank account, which you'd already put down in the earlier part of the financial statement.
Right. So that's right. So it's almost like just kind of bringing the numbers up there and just bringing it down to this table. And then the debts is to 2,000. So you go 20,000, take away 2,000, and you come up with 18,000 for line 24.
Net value as of date of marriage.
At the date of marriage, net value of property as of date at the date of marriage. And then for line 25, you just add this one, 18,000, the 24, and 23. What's 23 again? I always forget. 23. Oh, 23 is the total of debts and other liabilities. So, yeah. Right. So you're adding 18 plus 3,000, right?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Yep. 18 plus 3,000 makes 21,000. And so that's how we got this number here, 21,000 for line 25, item 25. And excluded property. Well, Robin doesn't have any excluded property. And we're almost finished for Robin. So part 9.
What that last box is just a summary of all the calculations you did before. Yeah.
Right. So it's 23 value, okay, from item 22. And then you subtract out all the deductions from 25, item 25. And remember item 25 was 21,000.
Yep.
So 23 minus 21 will give you 2,000, and there is no excluded property in this instance, so it's still 2,000. So Robin's net family property is $2,000.
Yeah, basically what it means, she did have property on the date of marriage that she's entitled to claim a credit for, but she
Right.
had debts on the date of marriage as well. So those two offset. So it basically means that Robin overall is worth $2,000 more than Robin was worth on the date they got married.
I like that way of putting it. I'm going to close this up because that's Robin. So Robin, remember, okay, Robin's and net family property is $2,000.
And this is going to be that her financial statement is not going to change in any of the scenarios that we're going to talk about.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing now. So now Helena is going to pull up Sandy's form 13.1 financial statement and kind of walk us through how Sandy's calculations are done, and also how it changes, right, with the matrimonial home situation.